Hi, everybody. This is day 1,681 days since Richard was brutally murdered on Fort Bliss. On Fort Bliss, um, the the Department of Defense has declared Richard killed in the line of duty on Fort Bliss. That's huge. Let me make sure that I'm on. So many things are happening, and I have so much to post. And to tell everyone about what's going on in El Paso. All eyes are on El Paso because even talking about Zelensky and Nish and the hmm, hmm, hmm. Seems like there's some problems. Okay. I'm going to keep talking. I'm just going to keep talking because I think this is so important for people to understand that this is all connected. This is all connected because you're talking about billions and billions of dollars. Trafficking, criminal trafficking is a lot of money. And when you're talking about substance abuse, when you're talking about trafficking those substances that even hurt uh, legal the legal medications and things like that, you're talking about billions of dollars of business, and those substances require then protection, and that protection comes in the form of the military equipment and arms and bullets and all of that, right? That come you have to protect those substances. And with those substances comes other illegal activities like the human trafficking. A lot of human trafficking, hundreds of thousands of children. And, you know, then you have um, the economy that it creates, right? The economy, because then you have to infiltrate, you have to bribe, you have to get into politics, and you have to fund businessmen and politics, and you also have to have banks. You have to have banks, and you have to have companies, LLCs to launder the money. And it's huge business, right? It's huge business, and it's not just in the United States. And that's why Richard's case is so big, because he was reporting on the criminal trafficking within Fort Bliss, which is the front door. El Paso is a front door to the United States. And the United States economy is so big. And the criminal trafficking is makes so much money. And it creates so many other um, avenues of corruption. So then you have fraud, waste, and theft. I've always been taught fraud, waste, and abuse, but I hear President Trump saying fraud, waste, and theft. Fraud, waste, and theft. And of course, the abuse is in there. But I think he's quite right. From our 4 years, I'm not just saying, okay, President Trump said it and President Trump is right. I'm saying after 4 years of every day investigating what is going on in El Paso that is in regards to our son's case, I can tell you that definitely there is fraud, waste, and theft. And of course, with the whole VA, of course, with Social Security numbers, of course, with older, much, much older, really old, where it's hard to believe, um, family members that, you know, what are they doing? That really need to be investigated, that they are collecting benefits and fraud, waste, and theft. So, so what he is saying, I'm saying he's been right all along. And our evidence, our piles and piles, very robust, robust, um, um, documented evidence in many different ways, declare that he's been right all along. That border is a huge problem. El Paso is a huge problem. And of course, you're not going to choose someone to support politically, and I'm talking about the cartel, and I'm talking about the businessmen that are in cahoots with the cartel, the narco politics politicians. And, red flags go up really high when you mention Representative Veronica Escobar, because I'm going to tell you right now, I know for a fact because of how she has dealt with us, she's up to no good. And that she absolutely showed her colors yesterday. She walked out on the joint congressional speech of President Trump yesterday, which is such a violation of her oath and who she represents, because she seems to only think that she represents the left, but she doesn't. She doesn't. El Paso, especially with Fort Bliss, because a big part of her district is Fort Bliss, are left and right, right? Are left and right. They are a very diverse group, a very diverse group. And it was her duty to sit in there and listen as a representative to the entire speech, to be able to um, relay that message to her constituents so that her constituents can give her feedback, right? Give her proper feedback and her have a proper understanding. But she lets her emotions, something that we have had to really control over these 4 years. We're not allowed to be angry. We're not allowed to grieve our son, the absolute brutal murder of our son, the dismembering of his body into many different locations, the connection with the terrible organization, the cartel groups. We're not allowed to be emotional. We have to also work with everybody, including the right and the left. Um, we have been advocating for the duly elected district attorney, Yvonne Rosales, to assert her rights because, believe it or not, this criminal group tried to get rid of Veronica Escobar. I mean, Yvonne Rosales, sorry, Yvonne Rosales, DA Yvonne Rosales. They tried to do everything to get rid of her, right? To remove her and replace her. That was their objective. But you know what? They still haven't done it. It's just so, it's like, I don't know how much money they've put into it, and she is still legally the district attorney. God's trying to tell her something. She better put on her heels and her suit jacket and go back into that DA's office and assert her rights. I mean, how many messages from God does she have to get? Because they have absolutely tried to remove her and replace her, and they haven't been able to do it. They've failed every time. It is, I don't think it's funny. I just think, how many messages from God does she need? And especially um, today was Ash Wednesday, and it is a day that we are really humble and we take time out to think about death, to think about our own death, um, each and every one of us, to think about our own death, to know that we've come from dust and to dust we will return, and that we will have to be held accountable for what we have done in this life. And it is a very solemn. I was telling my grandchildren who went with me to church today, I was telling them, when we get to church, it's very sad. And they like, Gigi, I'm not sad. I know, but this is very sad because death is very, very sad. It's very, very sad. And we need to take time out a couple times a year, on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, where we mourn death and we think of our own. And we become more compassionate and humble. And we offer condolences because death is so, so sad. And we are then much more grateful and joyful when Easter, when the message of Easter, when the message of our redemption, our opportunity, the grace to overcome death, and it's just a whole different atmosphere. But today is a sad day, a humble day, and when we got in there, I said, we're not going to have any music, and you're going to get ashes put on your head, because ashes to ashes, earth to earth, dust to dust. We are human. And it really does put things right. It does put things right. And it makes us much more joyful in our day-to-day life when we know that we have a great God that overcame death. Really does. And so I don't know. Veronica Escobar has no sense of condolence, of sadness. She was up to no good. Very bold. Very full of herself. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? That's Veronica Escobar. She's this vain, thoughtless, self-serving, treasonous, I think, treasonous. She doesn't deserve the name representative. And what's happened, the constitutional crisis that is in El Paso is under her watch. The disastrous, illegal chief medical examiner is under her watch. A foreign national in that position that belongs to a citizen of the United States, that's under her watch. The constitutional violation, the taking away the people's right to vote when it comes to the judges of the criminal law magistrate court, is under her watch. Them, the frauds with no jurisdiction, no authority, are getting paid because first off, since 2015, she was the one that approved the first payments to them. This is absolutely to control the courts, and that's under her watch. Because the control of the courts is to control for the sake of the criminal trafficking, the cartel-friendly businessmen, the narco politicians, and of course, the terrible organizations so named by President Trump, the Sinaloa cartel. And that's under Veronica Escobar's watch. The constitutional crisis is not because of President Trump. It's because of Veronica Escobar. She has caused the constitutional crisis in El Paso and so much crime. Remember with the Walmart mass shooting, she absolutely has the intelligence connections, meaning the spies, to know about the Mayella family, to know about Crucius, to know about Joe Spencer, the open checkbook, the seals and deals, backroom deals. She's known all about that. And she then targeted and attacked Trump with a false narrative then. Falsely. Misleading her constituents on purpose. That's like a crisis actor. I think she's more of a crisis actor than she is a representative. And she's in the pockets of those that absolutely want to criminal traffic and profit off of that. Her failure to hold a congressional hearing for our son when all this was going on, when she was meeting with us, and absolutely we gave her evidence. That was so shocking. The whole Nadal Bayim thing was so shocking. The leaks. And then, of course, with our key whistleblower that absolutely filed his witness statement of the tampering and the altering of Richard's deletion, even in Richard's file, the tampering of Richard's file, his case, and identifying the prime suspects, and one being a CID agent on Fort Bliss. Her failure to hold a congressional hearing right then and there in 2020 absolutely raises all the red flags that she is the liar, she is the divider, she is the constitutional crisis maker, she is the betrayer, she is the worst of the worst. She's a criminal. For her to walk out and put on her little media show, is a disgust. And I'm coming on to absolutely let everyone know there in El Paso that don't be fooled by Veronica Escobar. Her connections are now being revealed even over in Juarez, Mexico, where there is a group, and I'll reveal more, um, but even an American citizen that is working for the Mexican government over there on the books to thwart President Trump's policies, to really, uh, it's to work together to undermine his policies. Now, what are his policies? You have to spend a little time looking them up. But what is he requiring from, let's say, just Chihuahua, the Chihuahua governor? Because the Chihuahua governor was spewing her anti-American rhetoric, saying that she's under pressure. What kind of pressure is she under? Um, that she can't allow the cartel to take over the Mexican Chihuahua government. That, she can't allow the fentanyl to be, unaddressed over there in Chihuahua, Mexico. Because let me tell you, they're really suffering from the fentanyl. And of course, they want to undermine the tariffs, the reciprocal tariffs, and the tariffs for the terrible organization wreaking uh, unbelievable crime at the border, which is infiltrating absolutely into the government agencies wearing suits. These are very, this is billions of dollars. It's not like they don't have money, so they can buy off the politicians, those that are up for bid. And so the requirements are very, why don't you just follow your own laws over there in Mexico? Why don't you, um, yeah, follow your own laws and prosecute those that violate your laws? That's what President Trump wants them to do, to acknowledge their own laws and follow them, establish their own laws, right? And she's getting all upset. And it is because it's vast. The corruption is very vast. And she has a lot of work to do then. And she's got to be very strategic. And she she must be deep in the swamp up to her eyeballs. And one of those examples that is one of the side effects that we're getting information from, because we have been brought into this ISD thing, the independent school districts. We had no idea at how important the independent school districts were in the control of this whole criminal trafficking and everything. And it's very important. And just to give you an example, the ISDs were funding buses, very nice luxury buses, to drive over to Juarez and pick up the children, Mexican nationals, people that live in Chihuahua, their children, and drive them back over to Texas for school. Okay? For school. So El Paso County property taxpayers were paying for children that live and belong to Mexico, right? And live in Mexico and belong to Mexico. Don't belong to Mexico, but their parents in Mexico. um, with no connections, well, maybe some family connections, I don't know. Uh, y- but they are Mexican nationals with their family and live in Mexico, and yet El Paso County taxpayers are paying for them to go to school in the ISDs under Veronica Escobar's watch. And now, because the border is closed and those buses can no longer just go and pick up the children and bring them over to Texas, um, they're losing a lot of money. Um, it's all about numbers. I don't know why they have been doing this for so long. Um, this cash cow, right? Which is fraud, waste, and theft. Okay. This is fraud, waste, and theft. Even if I don't explain it well enough for you to understand, the definition of this is fraud, waste, and theft. Because the way the school system works in Mexico is very different than how it works in the United States. And the Mexican government was very happy not to have to pay for the education of these children. And in the United States, it was fraud, waste, and theft. And the way our system is made. So it's going to be interesting how this new administration looks at the funding of schools, because this was for years, as I understand it, as I was told, for years. And now, if you are a parent in the El Paso County and Ysleta, Socorro, Canutillo, um, you know, uh, and you're here, El Paso ISD, if you're hearing that the schools are being shut down or being combined or teachers are being let go and everything like that, this is why. This is why the fraud, waste, and theft, um, for the most part, is being stopped, and they have to readjust after years and years of committing these crimes. Absolutely. And it's just remarkable when you think about it. Um, what fraud? It's just unbelievable. The other news that I want to put up is that the VA, Trump has now, I think they're going to fire 70,000 workers. 70,000 workers. And we know that the VAs have been very, very, very up to no good. Um, very up to no good. And it is absolute fraud, waste, and theft. That VA issue was right there in El Paso, too. It's a big part of Richard's case. The VA fraud, waste, and theft is absolutely part of Richard's case. And, that's under Veronica Escobar's watch once again. She is, she's really up to no good. She's really lousy. She is really lousy. And it's going to all come out who she's working for and with, um, and for the news media to try to lift her up. I see that Tony Gonzalez had a whole different take. But he was meeting over there. He was meeting over there with the cartels in our consulate. So I don't know. There's so many like media shows and little twists and turns that they do with our trying to shape our opinions and everything. And I know that he's up to no good too. I know he's up to no good too. I'm happy for his message that he put out, but you know, um, yeah, he hasn't really earned the trust, that's for sure. Nope, he's up to no good. So, all this talk by Veronica Escobar is through her greedy eyes, um, her vanity, and I believe, the word is that her husband, the immigration judge, Michael Pleaders, has lost his job. That's the word that we're getting. Please let me know if that's true or not. And then the Foley, it's curious that Foley was there at uh, the speech of the Chihuahua governor. Yeah, but I think well, we'll see. We'll see. It is curious. So we're getting more and more information in all the time. And we are constantly letting the FBI office hear that we demand the arrest of Leilani Hart immediately because there's enough documentation over and over and over again to do it over and over and over again. And it's their obligation to arrest her. It's all documented. So they have, uh, you know, they have everything they need to arrest her, and they need to do that. Now we're hearing that there seems to be a larger investigation going on that will, we'll see. We'll see. We're very patient, and but we're not patient doing nothing. We are constantly behind the scenes, um, and filing, documenting, and filing, documenting, and filing. So thank you so much for all your support, and please share. Please share every one of these messages. We are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And that's why sharing is their worst nightmare. Is the way that we get justice for Richard. It is the way that we make our communities law abiding and safe again. So thank you so much. God bless.